Yeah, so the Builder of Crashspaces tournament was a progressive card pool tournament, mostly for the Louisville and Lexington and greater area metas, including some people from the Indianapolis meta and nearby, and Cincinnati and nearby. Um, Hillary, Blue Muse, and I came up with the tournament as a way to attract a couple newer players who we had in our meta, but then also to welcome back some players who have come back to the game recently since it has officially ended after FFG stopped supporting it and Nisei took over. So the idea with the tournament was pretty simple. We start with a one core set for week 1, week 2. We build it up to 3 core sets, and then after that, we just add more cards every single week. People create new decks, and we had 20 people to start, and now we're in a cut to top 8, and this is a quarterfinal match between stoppableforce, who looks like he's on Blue Sun, and valiantrye, who's on Ed Kim. The card pool, I think we should say at this point, is 3 core sets, 1 and only 1 big box, so you have to choose 1 big box only, and that supplies cards for both your runner and your corp. Then we added in 1 secret card, just 1 additional card that you can take from any other big box. Then we added in, I think, Katara, and then after that, Rain and Reverie and the Magnum Opus cards, and finally, Downfall. For the cut itself, we allowed everyone to take 1 additional, currently standard legal data pack, which they have to reveal to their opponent. It looks like Phil stoppableforce took Escalation.
Yep, and so did Amanda valiantrye as well, she just said. So Phil starts with good old Dredge Work, and shuffles back in the SSL. Seems good. And he's got the Fairchild 3 on HQ.
Nice.
So,
I'm just going to look up Escalation real quick, because off the top of my head, I can't remember every single card that they might be going for in there.
Sure. I can't either.
I think probably FC3 is in the, yeah. Okay, so some cards of note. We have Black Orchestra and Omar in there. We have Netmerker. That's probably not going to play too much of a role. FC3, DNA Tracker. Potential Unleashed, RIP.
Yep.
Boom, Door to Door, probably also won't be coming in, and Scarcity of Resources. That is a good pack.
It is an extremely good pack. So, all right. So Amanda steals and SSL off the top of R&D turn 1. It seems good. And also trashes building blocks. So Edward Kim doing work early.
Yeah. I'm going to guess here that Phil is on a kill package. Double punitive coming out of Blue Sun seems good. He has the archive memories at the moment, so really he only needs to have 1 punitive in hand to punitive archive punitive.
Right. Do you mind lowering the audio on your browser? We are getting that over your mic as well.
Sure. Oh, so maybe I should grab headphones.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so Phil draws the SDS drone deployments.
I'm going to mute my side, go grab headphones, and be right back.
Sure, take your time.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, thank you, John. Sorry about that. So what we missed was Amanda installed an Earthrise. Doesn't have very many credits, unfortunately, so in a bit of a bind. Just drew 2 sure gambles and doesn't have the credits to play him. Feels bad. And Phil last turn installed his second drudge work and got rid of one of the 2 SDS drone deployments in his hand.
Nice. Yeah, so Amanda's just doing a Anarch Sure Gamble here.
Yep.
For next turn, I imagine she's going to try to get those Sure Gambles off.
Yep. And Phil draws his Oversight. He's got the 2 Orions in hand, so I'm sure he's going to do that as well, because why wouldn't you? Especially when your opponent's on 5 credits and has no breakers installed. So this looks good.
Yeah, I think he just remembered that he had to install the Orion first.
Yeah,
it's not built blocks.
Yeah, building blocks is the flip there. Phil being especially cautious, installing the slot machine over it. Probably a good idea, honestly. And now Amanda's drawn a ton of econs, the 2 short gambles and liberated accounts. So we'll probably see, we'll see some of those cards played this turn, obviously. Just trying to think of what she can do to get the Black Orchestra in the bin as well. So maybe a draw here, install the liberated accounts, click it, and then discard Black Orchestra.
Yeah, get the Black Orchestra in the bin. But Amanda's actually in pretty good shape with that econ in hand. If she's cautious and she econs up and she can match Phil, she can definitely avoid the double punitive kill. I forgot what Amanda's big box was. Well, I guess it's actually Order and Chaos if she has Ed Kim, so she does have access as well to I've Had Worse.
Right.
In this card pool.
And because she has access to it, she's likely playing it. You're right there. And the other thing is she's got the 3 points, right? So punitive is live for only 1 more agenda steal.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil has 1 in hand. Let's see. He does have Fairchild 3 over HQ, so things are looking good for him there. But yeah, Amanda's in a pretty good spot, especially going up against the kill deck.
Okay, there it is.
There's the punitive. So the kill package is in hand, and he's sitting on 31 credits. Plays Scarcity. That's rough with the Liberated still in hand. But there's the I've Had Worse. So the kill package is in hand, and however, honestly, as long as she, like, if she can just stay on 3 cards, right? Like, she can't be double punitive.
Yeah, I mean, the only way would be the triple punitive kill,
right.
In which case he needs, around 3 times her money. The trace on punitive starting at 5, but Ed Kim having a link, so really just spending that 3 just gives you kind of like 1 extra over Ed Kim's initial link.
Yeah. So if you are Amanda here, with Scarcity down, do you go ahead and install Liberated through Scarcity? I know you and I have had a conversation about that before. I think the consensus was you don't install daily casts, but you go ahead and just hard install Liberated through.
I've hard installed Liberated quite a bit because I think the math still works out. Just in terms of how much money you're gaining for the clicks. I mean, you're still gaining even through the Scarcity something like a little bit over a sure gamble, right? So it can be worth it. The daily cast seems pretty bad though. It's only going to net you 3 credits over the course of 4 turns.
Yeah. And we don't have deck lists, so we don't know if she is running a current. So that Scarcity could sit there for a while, and with Anarchy Con, it can be pretty rough.
Yeah. Is Hacktivist in Order and Chaos?
I think it is. You're right. Just looking at the cards I've seen so far, I don't know that she would have room.
Right.
For Hacktivist.
I don't think I've seen it in her deck before either.
I haven't seen Isolation played before. It looks really interesting.
I wonder what the target is there.
Yeah. Let's see. Check the heap. Nope, just an Earthrise there. Maybe a daily cast with just 2 left on it or something.
Maybe daily cast. We've only seen the 1 Akamatsu for 1 influence. It's very possible that she's on 3 crowdfunding. Our tournament started prior to MWL 3.3, and so once Nisei announced the switch, we weren't going to change that in the middle of a tournament.
All right, so Phil is going for the score here, having a pile of credits and only the Black Orchestra installed, feeling pretty good about life. She probably she can't get in, but if she can, he can almost certainly land a double punitive to hopefully go for the kill. And also, he may be thinking that he needs to move fairly quickly to prevent her from drawing more than one I've had worse. His chances of landing the double kill with one I've had worse and are kind of reasonable. His chances of landing both, or his chances of landing the kill with two, are really bad.
Yeah, yeah. Now, he may not, if Amanda challenges the remote, he may not even res, because he can take back the Hate Drains while guarantee the double punitive. Hope maybe that he doesn't hit the I've had worse. Amanda might think about getting down. If she were to score the agenda here, she might think about getting down to 4 cards just to up the chances of hitting the I've had worse. I know that I've had worse in hand, and I'll have had 5 cards in hand against double punitive, and the punitive has missed the I've had worse, right? 40% chance.
Yeah.
Or 40% chance of missing it. So it definitely does happen.
Got it. So she runs now into the Fairchild 3. It's got the data sucker tokens, and that's very relevant. Lets her break 2 subs on the first pump. So she can pay 6 and break all the subs and get through.
Yeah.
Whereas previously she would. Yep, there she goes. Previously she'd have to go broke to do so. And being Edward Kim right now, hitting the punitive would be pretty big. So would hitting the archived. There's a couple juicy targets in HQ.
Yeah, either one, right? The archive as the 4th punitive would be pretty good. Hitting the punitive would be better, obviously, but
right. So yeah. So here's an interesting thought. If she only breaks the first 2 subroutines, and she's only paid to break 2 so far, if you are Phil, you end the run here instead of doing the brain damage, right? Just because the chance of Edward Kim hitting your kill package is pretty great.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. In the meantime, it doesn't look like Amanda's actually used Data Sucker yet. So
right, yeah.
Yeah, so there might just be a little backtracking over here. Just use the Data Sucker first. But yeah, I mean, probably in the run, you don't want her to hit the punitive. You don't want her to hit the archive memories.
Yeah, because honestly, I wasn't thinking it through very well. My first thought was, hey, doing a brain, that would be great. Maybe you hit the I've had worse, and the 4 in hand gives you. Well, obviously, it makes the kill easier, but I think in this particular case, it doesn't.
I think that would have to be Phil really reading the fact that there's an I've had worse in hand, and then hoping that he hits it with the brain damage, in which case it wouldn't fire. But so it's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, and the chances of losing one of your 2 operations that you need for the kill is just too great.
Yeah, and I do not believe that preemptive is in Phil's card pool. Especially since he's gone with escalation, but certainly distract the masses is, and we've seen some people, myself included, play distract the masses throughout this tournament for lack of preemptive.
Yeah, I think honestly it's a pretty good card. It never feels good to give the runner money, but it's not a terminal, and it lets you get them get your agendas or other things out of HQ as well. I think you and I both played it at Worlds.
Yeah, we did. Why did we do that again? I don't know. You guys had a lot of success with that empty deck. For some reason that was the one time that empty failed me. And there was a very specific reason that we talked about why we were playing distract the masses instead of preempt. And I think it just had to do with not wanting the agendas to sit there
right
for any length of time in archives.
Yeah, that's exactly why I would why at least at the time I preferred to play Distract the Masses. Although, like, thinking about it, right, like, playing empty, people don't run and open archives very much. So I'm not sure the thinking there, in retrospect, was as good as it seemed at the time.
Right, right.
But and
So,
also, you mentioned that I had success with the empty deck. If by success you mean went to time a lot with it, then you're correct.
right. It was Phil who had the most success out of the three of
Yeah,
us.
Phil played that really well.
Okay, so Phil being very, very sportsmanlike here, mentioning to valiantrye, aka Amanda, that she has to use the data sucker token in order for the single pump Black Orchestra to do anything, and just figuring out right now which subroutine is going to fire. I'm imagining that Amanda is going to opt for one of the first two. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hitting the hedge fund, probably, a great Ed Kim hit for against any corp but Blue Sun, which just basically prints money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're never sad to see Econ for your corp who's trying to kill you go into the trash. But Phil has to be happy, obviously, that neither the punitive nor the archived got trashed. All right, so she has 2 clicks remaining. I have to think that it's unlikely that she runs the remotes at this point. But also, it's important to note that Phil does not have the credits to res the Orion, and she still has the I've Had Worse in hand. So she could get in and steal it and trash either the Data Sucker or the Black Orchestra, and then just have to dodge the double punitive.
Which, given the fact that she just drew a second I've Had Worse, seems almost guaranteed at this point.
Yes, it does. So she has to be feeling pretty good about where she is, and Phil doesn't know, but he knows math and knows she probably has drawn 1 by now. I think she's well over 50% to have drawn 1 at this point. So.
Now at the moment, Phil's not threatening the win or anything like that. All that said, Amanda might be thinking about her own tempo. Of course, the smartest thing would be for Amanda to keep the 2 I've Had Worse in hand. But of course, you're keeping those in hand to protect against the punitive, and you're sacrificing your own tempo in order to do that.
Right.
So, Phil right now is only threatening to be on 3 points. But I imagine if Phil gets out another agenda, then Amanda's going to really have to, maybe use those I've Had Worse to quicken up her own game if she doesn't use them before and make that decision.
Right. So if you're Phil, do you score out this turn and trash the Data Sucker? Or do you leave it on the table hoping to bait the run?
I think I score out. I mean, she is Anarch. She has Order and Chaos in her card pool. She has to have at least 1 I've Had Worse in hand at this point. She certainly hasn't played any. And Phil can start threatening the win to pressure her to run to set up the punitive kill. Yeah, and I guess I mean, I think in this case you do get rid of the Data Sucker, even though bringing the Black Orchestra will be a 3 credit hit. That Data Sucker is doing such tremendous work against the Fairchild.
Right.
That 1 Data Sucker token is worth three credits in itself.
Yeah. All right, and he drew the daily quest as well, so he honestly is probably set for Econ at this point. Baiting a run on the remote would be really nice and cost valiantrye some money. So I don't know. I have to imagine that she would let it go given her Econ situation. It really stinks to be facing a rich corp, but with the 2 I've Had Worse in hand, the double punitive isn't again a huge consideration.
Yeah. I just noticed that we had a couple other spectators here. Tucker and Nathan. They're of course welcome to spectate on JNet, but let's try to push them over to Twitch.
All right.
Really get some traffic going there for our little Crashspace channel. Okay, so is Phil thinking, or do we think that Phil DC'd over here?
I don't know. That's a good I think. There we go. uh, that's amazing. It's amazing that his mom uses TweetDeck. That's great.
I don't even know what TweetDeck is.
It's a Twitter client.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like a non-official one. So Phil's mom's on Twitter. There we go, everybody. If he posts her handle, just go ahead and give her a follow.
Nice.
And be kind. Introduce her to Twitter.
I have a ghost Twitter account that I made about 6 years ago. I have a ghost Instagram account, and that's it. I've gotten myself off social media quite a bit.
I know that you're not on Facebook, and I keep considering dropping it myself. Honestly, it's a terrible excuse, but right now my Spotify account is linked through Facebook, and they don't let you separate. Like, if you sign up with Facebook, you can't turn your account into like one associated with your email address. So I lose all my playlists. We have a shared family plan that I would have to reform, and it's kind of lame.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. And listeners, the listeners out there, I can attest to the fact that Jay Flans does have a mean 90s Spotify list.
It's true. If anybody wants access to it, just hit me up on Genteki. I feel comfortable saying that because no one is going to do that.
So I noticed Amanda has a forked here, which is a very, very interesting choice. She might be running more out of that cutlery suite.
Yeah.
Forked is not usually the one that you see.
Right. It's normally the spooned in general, right? Am I right about that?
Spooned, knifed as well, especially if you were on lamb.
Right.
Could be in this format. So installing the Stargate for 4 credits, to not have to discard a card without a dedicated breaker for getting through Hadrian's Wall, or money for getting through Hadrian's Wall, might be a bit of a tempo hit for her.
Right.
We'll see if that pays off for her in a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And so Phil here pulls the Fairchild back. And installs the daily quest. Resing it now because you have to, and then immediately installs the Fairchild back on HQ. Again, he has to. His win condition is in hand, and he's versus Edward Kim, so doesn't really have a whole lot of choice there. Phil also noted earlier, one of our spectators, Tucker87, is Amanda's husband. They come to the Louisville Meta tournaments. It's awesome. They're great people when we see them there, but Phil poking a little fun, asking, telling him to be quiet, because again, for spectators here, the hands are revealed. So.
Yeah, so I imagine that if Tucker and Amanda are not in the same room, that they are at least in yelling distance from each other. But this is not happening. No one's telling anyone anything. Other streams that I've seen in this, done in this way, where the commentators have access through passwords. I mean, there's a ton of ways around that if people wanted to stream snipe or cheat or anything like that. Absolutely. It just does not happen with this community.
It doesn't. No, I was just pointing out that Phil was giving the Tuckers a bit of a hard time.
Yeah,
they're good people.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the Stargate install, running R&D. Like you said, there's no way to get through the Hadrians currently. So Stargate is a great card, and
there's the crowdfundings.
There it is. Okay, so that is what the isolation is for. That's really interesting. Isolation, one of the new downfall cards. Again, I haven't seen it played, but it looks good, especially if you're on crowdfunding. Maybe not so good in the MWL 3.3 meta because crowdfunding is gone. But if you're not as concerned about draw, click for 5 is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that isolation was sort of mid-level value even when crowdfunding was in the game.
Sure.
Um, but right, because you're sacrificing that last credit, you're sacrificing the draw. You have to play a whole other card for a click to gain basically 4 additional credits instead of just the
Sure.
right, because isolation would net you 5, but the crowdfunding that would have ticked off would have netted you 1 anyway. Um, Tossing that crowdfunding in the bin, though, good idea. If Amanda can make multiple runs, then of course the crowdfunding will come back for free. The scarcity cost does not affect the crowdfunding install from the bin.
Right. Correct. It's ignoring all costs. So Phil with the Crisium on R&D just drew the Crisium, so that protects against the Stargate runs, and then the Oversight AI on Orion over his remotes. So Phil just making money. Oh no, sorry,
Yep.
it wasn't Oversight AI. It was building blocks. So Orion is res and it stays res, which is pretty good. Looks like Amanda is going to go for just crowdfunding runs at this point. Does she have just the one in the heap or more than one? Just the
I
one.
think just the one. Technically, it is a credit positive move over the long run. She spends 3 clicks now. She gets 3 credits, but then she also gets the card draw. So not a huge tempo play there, but technically a positive one.
Yeah.
If I'm Amanda right now, I might be a little bit more interested in drawing up aggressively, maybe even using one of those I've had worse, saving 1, of course, for the punitive kill, trying to find my fractor, potentially trying to find a knifed even to get through that Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's like she's drawn a lot of econ. We've just like the scarcity is just doing so much work. She discarded the daily casts, which obviously she would have installed without scarcity. And then there's the liberated account, which again you can install it through the scarcity, but still feels bad to do so.
Does I'm wondering with the isolation in hand though, if installing the daily cast might not have been worth it.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't quite know what the math is. It would have cost you 5. You have to let it tick down 3 times, so you make a credit, and then you can make 5 more off of isolation.
yeah,
So,
it's definitely like a long term play,
yeah.
right?
Okay, mimic coming down. Great efficient breaker as long as it has support. Lost that data sucker a little bit ago to the SDS score, so not much support there. And if I'm up against a blue sun deck, I'm thinking that any sentries that I would hit into would probably be kind of big. So Amanda, I think, is going to want to look into getting down another data sucker. Possibly she's on Ice Carver with or without Career Fair, maybe, just to help her out a little bit.
Sure. All right, so Oversight AI going on the. He has just realized something.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah, undo click. Orion is
Judge!
weak. And so he can't res the second one.
How does that work?
Cool. So he oversights the Fairchild. All right, good deal. Probably should have oversighted the one on archives, but he's going quickly to undo the click.
Now, if you're Amanda here, do you attack HQ, triple click through that Fairchild, killing it?
Oh yes, 100%. That is what I do. Right, like for again Edward Kim versus a kill deck, the opportunity to trash some ice and also possibly trash an event seems really good for me. And also just like knowing that Fairchild is out there prevents her from running.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Now, Now it's good to. Okay, so she doesn't choose to go through that play. It's also probably worth noting that if you're Amanda, if you steal that hostile takeover right now, punitive is effectively off the table for the
Yep.
rest of the game. Sure, I mean you could steal another punitive, but or possibly even a 2-pointer should Phil be running them, though I doubt that. But if you get to 4 points, your win is going to be that last 5-3, putting punitive pretty much off the table.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so Phil is likely, I'm sure, to just score the hostile out of hand.
Yeah.
Next turn. It
Yeah.
puts it, and him scoring that puts him in a good position, right? He's got Orion, double Orion on the remote. So obviously the top one would be trashed if he res the second one, but having to break 2 Orions with limited econ currently is pretty rough. There you go. Oh, yep. So Amanda just used the isolation on the crowdfunding, and now is up to 10 credits. So, reasonable there. Phil pulls the Fairchild back and draws a Surveyor, which I'm sure will go on goes on HQ. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. He's more worried about his hand right now than the remote.
Yeah, again, protect that hostile, protect that punitive, protect that archive memories. She's not coming through the remote to challenge that daily quest at this point. I'm not sure if there would be a point in doing so.
Yeah. Yeah, Phil has infinite money with 25 credits worth of ice resed on the table and then 32 credits in his pool.
Man, this scarcity has just been crippling her.
So much work. So much work.
This game.
Like she would have, 30 credits at this point if the scarcity hadn't been out. Because she would have had Liberated, there's a daily cast in the trash, and another one in hand.
Yep.
So that's 22 credits of value that she's missed out on.
Yep. So Amanda here has to be thinking about where her fractors are at this point.
Yep, it's the good old Anarch problems. How do you? Yep, there you go. And hards install the Liberated account. Basically, have to do it. Guessing at this point that she's not on Hacktivist because doesn't seem. Maybe she's been digging for it. I don't know. And if she is on it, it's just really unfortunate for her that one hasn't showed up yet. It's a bit of bad luck on the draw.
Right. I think and I think you just ditched that that daily casts here again.
Yeah, just not a thing you want to install.
Scarcity turns daily cast into a 4-turn easy mark.
Yeah, and
not great.
Yeah. Even given the wide play of easy mark that we see.
Right. So Phil looks like he's just gonna. Oh, nope.
Yeah, he's gonna install it in a new remote.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, scores a hostile, puts him on 4 points, gives him even more money, and it gives Amanda the bad pub, although honestly not likely to make a whole lot of difference at this point. No, I take that back. It could, right? Like she just she needs to touch one agenda to turn off punitive, right? And so just having an extra credit to make that run can definitely work. But Phil at this point has to be thinking about just scoring out for the win, right? Like drawing the agenda and just jamming it.
Now, if I'm Amanda, she's done a really good job at holding back those I've had worse for the punitive protection. But at this point, I think that she'd be most benefited by just really accelerating her draw, finding what I'm assuming is going to be Corroder, and then just challenging. Because if Phil has another 5-3 in hand, he can just win in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Now, technically, you can get through that Orion with Black Orchestra, but again, getting through multiple Orions for Black Orchestra is
just really gonna hurt.
Is rough.
Yeah, and she really needs to play one of the I've had worses. I think the cards in her hand are not the cards that she wants to play.
Right.
So you need other cards.
halfway through her deck, I am wondering, as an Anarch, where her stim hacks are.
Yep. Bit of a rough draw there. Her crowdfundings are turned off with the ice on archives. It's Fairchild 3 on archives, so that's no fun at all.
Right.
So she's just in a pretty bad spot, despite grabbing the early SSL. Again, it's hard to overstate how much work the scarcity has done here. Not in the credits that it's cost her, but rather in the cards that just aren't worth playing any longer.
Back in the day, grabbing an early 5-3 felt so good. You were just right on path to win the game. Now you grab an early 5-3 like an SSL, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, like is that worth it, or is giving my opponent 9 credits a little bit too much tempo?
Yeah, it's
Speed.
it's really interesting. Like agendas, all of the cards have risen in power as the game has gone on, and that's one of the difficult things that Nisei has to do, managing the NWL. But agendas in particular are just extremely powerful now. Like yeah, with SSL, if your opponent's on 0 points, you honestly don't care if they steal it.
Right.
Um,
If you give and it gives you that tempo burst yourself as the corp, which could sometimes be enough. I remember thinking back to our one of our store championships, someone scoring an early 2 SSLs against you when you were playing empty, and me just looking at that situation and thinking, this game is definitely not over. You just
right.
gave empty 18 credits.
Yeah, you give empty 18 credits, and it's just hard to run for the next half dozen turns or more, and things like that are why MT is on the removed list right now. It's I love the ID, but I totally understand why it's been removed. It's just the negative play experience is real. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still sad. I'm still
I'm
very
so
sad.
sad too. I think it was an interesting ID. I think it made for a lot of interesting decisions on both parts. But people say the same thing about CTM, where there's that 4-panel comic with the 2 birds about how CTM just makes players make a lot of interesting decisions. And
Yeah.
if you love CTM, like, yes. If you hate CTM, then you hate that. And maybe the same thing for us empty lovers, where if you love empty, then yes, that makes sense. But if you don't, then you just really hate that ID.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go.
There's the corroder. So she can now run R&D for let's see. She's got the 1 bad pub. So 2 subs to break, 5 to boost, minus the 1 bad pub. That's 6 credits a run. That's rough, but she does have Stargate, so that can be good.
Now she has to get rid of that Chrysium first.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. Additionally, Phil has installed the reduced service in the remote, which is one of the new upgrades. It's really interesting. You can pay up to 4 credits to place that many power counters on it whenever you res it, and as an additional cost to run the server, the runner has to pay 2 credits for each hosted power counter. So at this point, when Phil grabs his next 5-3, he essentially can make the remote impossible for Amanda to run. So if she has the credits to trash the Chrysium grid, that's good here. But let's see. So how do the rules work here? She doesn't get to access anything, does she?
I don't know. So if successful, instead of accessing cards, reveal the top 3 cards, but Chrysium makes it. It's neither successful nor unsuccessful, but you came in using Stargate. So I am not entirely sure. I think you just see the top card the same way that if you use Maker's Eye, right? You 1 card.
That's fair, yeah. So on Stargate, the replacement effect is not optional, right? Like for some of these cards, it is.
Right.
But yeah, it looks like Jinteki had her access the top card, and that seems reasonable, right? Like it's Not a successful run for the purposes of the card abilities, but it is still a successful run.
Right. Actually, Maker's Eye is also not a May ability. I just looked it up to be sure. Make a run in R&D if successful. Access 2 additional cards from R&D.
Gotcha.
So you would also see the top card there. Yeah. So I mean, it just gets rid of the the card ability, but you are still making a card accessing run.
Sure. All right, so Phil's got another reduced service on R&D here. He is shoring up the 2 servers that really matter, because there will not be agendas that sit in HQ for very long. So it costs an additional 8 credits for Amanda to run R&D now. She gets to remove one of the 4 counters whenever she makes a successful run on a central server. But yeah, those are expensive. Plays the Dirty Laundry. Good thing she did it first click. So at this point, you just click through, I would say, and take your Dirty Laundry money and remove a counter, and be glad that that you're not face planting that Fairchild 3 on second click or something of that sort.
Right. Also, getting to see a few cards in archives. Phil hasn't ditched anything in there, but he could have, I suppose.
Yeah,
although the way that his tempo's been going, I imagine any agenda that he's seen would have been jammed.
Yeah, and because of that, he's ditched the True Dredge Works, right? Like, he won't need to use those. He wants the drawn agenda at this point. So
Amanda's actually choosing to pay through.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of click through.
Yep. Yeah.
So does save her the clicks.
It does. So perhaps she thinks there was an agenda there or something. Also, like the reduced service, she probably really wants the counters off of that. The difficult thing being Phil being blue sign can just pull it back and reinstall it whenever the counters get low.
Oh, geez, that's right. Yeah, that's a great trick with reduced server in Blue Sun, for sure. Okay, so if you're Amanda here, what's your path to victory?
Honestly, at this point, it's extremely difficult. I think that you have to play one of the iPad Horse to draw quickly and accelerate, and you've got to get some econ. Phil has his servers really secure at this point. He's got another Fairchild and a Surveyor on HQ, and then it has a Hordem on the outside of R&D plus the reduced service. It's just really expensive for her to run anywhere. So she's going to need I think she needs to find an opportunity to use the forked. She doesn't necessarily realize it, but there is a code gate on R&D and on HQ. It'd be nice to get rid of one of those, just to make runs a little bit cheaper, because the remote she is not getting into. Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point she's just got to get lucky off of essentially R&D again. With the Rashida, Phil is going to be drawing a 5-3 soon and winning. So Amanda's just got to run and get lucky.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think Stargating is still her path to victory if she can figure out a way to get it off. Not fully confident that she can at this point, given the board state. Stim hacks would also be good.
Yeah.
To find as a way of challenging server 2 here, the remote. Although again, with that reduced service, very, very, very difficult to pull that off. You can't actually use the stim hack credits to pay the reduced service costs. You need to have the 8 credits up front.
Yeah.
Do that.
Cost to make the run. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Amanda's in a tough spot, and Phil honestly has done a good job this game of being patient and building his board states, leaving the Hadrians, even though it's 10 credits, knowing that his econ is strong enough, he can just leave that on the board. and keep R&D reasonably protected because Amanda did not draw her corroder until she was over half the way through her deck.
Yep. Now, should be said that R&D is just chock full of agendas right now. It has to be. I mean, we've only seen 7 points. Phil is obviously running 20 points here, so 2/3 of his deck's agendas are in the last roughly third of his stack.
Yeah.
So if Amanda can somehow start making R&D runs, especially with that Stargate, she's just going to start pulling agendas. But again, big ifs right here. I would love to see Amanda draw a spooned. I would love to see Amanda draw a knifed right now, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, she just needs to draw something that can help her set Phil back. Again, the Rashida in the remote, Phil's going to draw 4 cards next turn, and he is highly likely to draw an agenda with that. She goes ahead and plays I've had worse. That's good. Unfortunately, it doesn't draw her a ton of what she needs right now.
Finds the Hippo, which can be helpful.
Hippo can definitely be helpful. Yeah.
Ooh.
Earthrise, and that's rough. She's correct in that she needs to draw more cards. Right, like again, the cards in her hand aren't the ones that are going to give her the game. But
that's a 6 credit hit right there.
It is.
Paying it through the scarcity. Phil is almost guaranteed to draw 5/3 right here between Rashida and mandatory draw.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is. So with her on 2 credits,
2 of them.
Yep. With her on 2 credits, that is probably the game. Don't think she has enough. Use the res to reduce service here. Phil does. But like she needs to score 2 agendas to win, and she probably doesn't have the funds. Even if she drew a stim hack or 2 stim hacks off of the Earthrise, doesn't have the funds to make 2 successful runs.
Yeah, and now for what it's worth, I think Phil does have a border control at the top of the server as well, so he can even let that reduced service hang out on R&D for the moment. If somehow she were to make a play on server 2, money and stim hack, you can always pop border control, use it, then turn around, res that other reduced service anyway to make it pretty much impossible.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
In the meantime, protecting R&D from any sort of runs, including Stargate runs.
Yeah. So here again, this tournament, we did a cut to the top 8, but we're not doing double elimination just because the tournament we play 1 match a week, right? And it's been a ton of fun building decks throughout. But it's also, sometimes difficult to schedule matches. So what you all decided to do in this case, and I think it's a great decision, is instead of doing double elimination, make each match best of 3, so that the cut doesn't go on as long, but you still get a lot of quality games of Netrunner in. So this is the best of 3, and according to the rules, you mentioned this is the same as the StimHack Online Cash Refresh rules, where the higher seed picks the matchup first game, and then the loser of the first game picks which side they play the second game, and if necessary, the loser of game 2 picks which side they play the third game. Yes,
and there's I know the question came up. I think you even floated it in chat at some point during the week, asking, could a player potentially play all three matches on the same side, play 3 court matches in a row. It is possible. But I think that given the card pool, given where we are right now, I think that the corps probably have the advantage over the runners. Right. Yeah. So it seems to me that most likely the loser of game 1, if they are the runner, is going to most likely opt to corp for game 2.
Yep. I think you're correct.
Which means then that the lower seed player, all other things being equal, will probably have to win at least 1 match as a runner in order to overtake their higher seed opponent.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to watch like the relative power of runner and corp as we've added cards to the card pool throughout this tournament. Because early on, it felt, at least to me, that runners were much stronger.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I agree, especially during those early weeks when we were just on one set of system core, then three sets, and then just adding in say like one big box. It definitely seemed to me at that point that the runners had the advantage. So okay, so Phil took this one, 18 turns, 49 minutes. You know, interesting stats on this throughout, but we can probably see just from the stats that Phil looked like he was in command for most of the game.
yeah,
For as good of a fight as Amanda put up, as many lines of play that she was attempting to open, she was only able to get 5 card accesses, which is a little bit rough. But at the same time, I mean that's what Blue Sun does.
yeah, it does. And also, just again, just an example of that scarcity doing work. Uh, Amanda had to click for credits 19 times, and then
Oof.
also click to draw 15 times. So just honestly, well, with the scarcity of resources, a bit resource starved, if you will. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No.
Um, but yeah, all right. So it looks like they are going to. Yeah, it looks like they're going to play game 2. Amanda says, "Let's not do this again." So Phil's going to put the game up, and we are going to jump in.
Yep. Now, should Amanda win this game and Phil be the loser of this game, I think they are going to have to do that Blue Sun matchup again.
Yeah, Phil has to feel pretty good about his matchup there. All right, so this is Argus versus Max. Max, my favorite runner of all time. It's nice to see Phil playing that, and also the Max versus Argus deck or Argus matchup should be pretty good. Max obviously has a lot of tempo advantage early, but eventually also runs out of cards.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Twitch stream right now. It looks like I'm a little bit quiet. Anybody watching? Is this a little bit better now?
Yeah, I should be paying better attention to chat, so I will do that.
Yeah, so yeah, we definitely have some extra people watching on the Twitch stream, not just people from the direct Louisville meta. Louisville meta, by the way, Louisville in quotation marks, really the Louisville meta takes in Louisville, Lexington, parts of Cincinnati, parts of Indiana, Indianapolis, Bloomington region, etc., and even a couple farther out players from places like Chicago and New York.
All right, hearing that my mic is quiet, I just turned it up a bit. Can you all hear that? I am echoing a bit. That's So I'm wearing headphones. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder what we're getting the echo from then.
Yeah, I've headphones on too. So yeah, I mean, anybody watching on Twitch right now, Crashspace channel, relatively new. We haven't done too much live commentary yet, so I'm sure we're working out some kinks as we go. But please, yeah, do keep us abreast of any issues that are coming up, because this can certainly, these are just things that we can keep in mind going forward, so that our streams in the future can be better, crisper, clearer, louder, etc. Okay, so Phil is on Max, lovely runner. I think Max, even in the standard meta right now, is maybe even the Anarch that you want to be, even over Val, now that we've lost crowdfunding, but certainly good in this card pool as well. Amanda is on Argus, just a nasty, nasty ID, whether you're playing standard or whether you are playing this limited card pool.
Yeah.
Now Phil opting to take the 2 damage here, obviously. Stealing the GFI. If Amanda is on the punitive kill, which she very well could be, although it's not guaranteed, he could be dead. I mean, Amanda might consider drawing if she's playing punitive. She might consider drawing for that punitive, in which case Phil's done already, but does not look like that's going to be the case.
Yep. So Phil looking pretty good, getting the early 2 points and not really being punished for it. But Amanda has 16 credits, right? Like having money as Argus feels pretty good, and she's got the Rashida on the board. So in pretty good shape there, and looks like Phil is going to faceplant Mausolus, so not a ton of punishment there, but is going to take another net. And with again with Max being on a bit of a clock, not at this point, but still wanting to play all the cards that she draws, because all the others go in the bin. Even just a little bit of net damage can be somewhat painful.
Yeah, also this net damage, Mausolus gives the tag as well.
Oh, that's right.
Meaning that Phil, if he were to hit an agenda here, he probably can't opt to steal it, because if he did, it would probably put him in kill position.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He hits the Afshar.
Yep. Putting the ice in the bin, probably a good call, given there's just the 2 on the board and 1 is on a remote. So Amanda fires the Rashida and draws into Data Raven a great piece of ice, I'm sure, for what she's wanting to do, and also the IPO, which, it's just a nice card. Nice card to play. Click for 5 seems good.
Now, that Force Connection, in addition to the Data Ravens, in addition to the Argus ability, is making me think that somewhere in here Amanda has HPTs, that even though hard-hitting news is not part of our card pool, certainly other ways to tag the runner. Force Connection, we've seen other people play in this tournament so far to, I think, great effect. A newer player, Rob, aka Linead on Slack, was playing Force Connection out of his Argus deck to set up the HPT kill, which he had some success doing.
Right.
Also, still other fun things that you can do, just with something like Sea Source in this card pool.
Yeah. So I tried to play for my first matchup in the cut the Gagarin SIU. I used Fear the Masses as my pick, and been so zealous judge as well, to do the high-profile target kill, and it didn't work out well for me because I did not make good decisions.
But it's there. It's there.
It's there now. Yeah. So, and that's the interesting thing, right? Like, again, early on in the Swiss rounds of the tournament, it was just really difficult to put together a kill package that was anything other than the punitive package.
Right.
But yeah, now we with the more cards that we have the ability to do quite a bit more. Just looking at OBS here for a moment, we might be losing the stream a little bit. I'm
going to sound really ignorant, but what's OBS?
OBS is it is a program that streamers often use to either record or broadcast games, or both.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Amanda just installed the Project Atlas behind the border control, which Phil would have been able to get through. Maybe she's trying to bait the run a little bit, trying to make him hit that Force Connection, possibly.
Yeah, and Phil installing the 2 pad taps, which is just such an annoying card to deal with as Corp, right? Like, 3 credits and a click is never fun to spend, but I don't know. You almost have to do it, especially unless you want the runner to have forever money.
Right.
So.
Ooh, dropping the Corroder to be able to install the Ngolo.
Wow.
That's a That's a cool decision right there.
Yep.
Now Phil opting to get some money by just dirty laundering archives. Interesting play, right? I mean, of course, what that does, since all the cards in archives are face up, means that he knows that he's not going to score an agenda there, right? Which means that he doesn't have to make the Argus tag or meat damage decision, which he might have had to have made should he had dirty laundry HQ instead and pulled an agenda. Amanda didn't have one at that moment, but certainly that's what Phil was looking to avoid while still just trying to keep some of his money up.
Right. So Amanda draws the hostile takeover. She also has the Atlas on the table. If you draw that hostile, what's your play? Do you score it out of hand? Looks like she is opting to kill some of Phil's tempo. But that would be an interesting decision for me with the agenda on the table and then drawing one that you can score out of hand. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, with the scoring the hostiles, it might depend upon how many she's playing. If she's playing only 2, although I imagine she might be playing 3 here, then I say that you do score it out because it limits the agendas that Phil would need in order to cobble together 7 points. Right. I mean,
yeah.
Sort of the same way that if you're like last game, Phil was probably playing an 8 agenda Blue Sun package. Scoring out those hostile takeovers is key because then you force the runner to score 3 5-3s. So possibly there's something going on there right now. Plus, getting to 26 credits or 24 credits, whatever the math would be, scoring out that hostile can be very, very good for things like Data Raven traces if they come up, or more likely, since we know the card is on the table, Force Connection traces.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the Force Connection, the bad pub really makes the trace rough for the Corp to land.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, that's a good point too. So here, did we just see Amanda install second border control?
Yes. So she's got double border control on the remote.
Okay.
And so the Atlas is probably safe for a while if she wants to leave it on the table. But looks like she's just going to go ahead and score it out now. No. Yeah, I like this play. Trying to bait a run. And so if Phil gets through, he'll have spent a fair amount of credits, and she can probably land the Force Connection trace. Or obviously she could keep him out with border control. But if he doesn't get through, she has Atlas tokens and can pull together her kill package whenever she needs it.
Yeah, and double border control would be rough for N'Golo to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, he had to trash the corroder. Good call.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
So Phil with the mem strips, interesting. I'm wondering what we're looking at here.
Yeah, mem strips is definitely interesting.
So I mean, obviously it allows him to play a bunch of viruses.
But we haven't seen any. Oh, we've seen a data sucker. It'll be really interesting to see what Phil is doing with mem strips.
Now I'm just taking a look at some of the other cards that he has in the heap right now. We have data folding. We have mimic, which I just saw him put back with the mem strips as well. Can he be on tribal 3 Hushuk? Although we haven't seen that.
Yeah. That's possible. The data folding with mem strips is can be a fair amount of economy as well. You're right.
Yeah. Just the mem strips for the data folding in and of themselves, without even worrying about Hushuk, is probably pretty good. So that seems like a lot. That seems like a lot to set up. 3 for the mem strips, 3 each for the data foldings.
Yeah.
So Amanda here, not exactly threatening the win, but if she scores out this Global Food Initiative, I imagine that's going to be it, because next turn she can score out that hostile, or if Phil somehow manages to steal that hostile, she can go fish out a third hostile with Atlas if she has it.
Yep. So using Ngolo to break the data raven and or rather spooned it, um, but taking the one tag still has a click to clear it. See what he gets with. No, he didn't spoon it. He hippoed it.
About
Apologies.
it, yeah.
Um, so we'll see what he lands on here. But you're right. Scoring out the GFI puts her on 6, and with the hostile in hand puts her in a great position. So unless Phil can, honestly, I don't know his path to victory here with the double border control on the remote. Looks like we're going to get to see a game 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting here. Now, it is possible if he hits an agenda here to go in next turn, hit another agenda possibly. Then maybe that hostile in hand represents the 7th point, but again, it's really not looking good for Phil here. I think Amanda has played this game excellently so far. Really used the tempo hit that Argus provides to her advantage, and then also used the money advantage that Waylon provides to her advantage to go fast. And Mouseless is no cheap thing necessarily, even for Ngolo.
It really isn't.
5 to break everything. Most likely we'll just spend 4, though. We'll let Amanda gain the credit. Yep. Yeah, that odd thing that JNet does whenever you trash an ice, be it with Spooned or with something like Hippo, where it advances that run arrow all the way to the server. Not sure why it does that, but just a quick thing that most players, I think, are generally aware of, and if you're not, an easy fix. JNet devs have been taking care of so many issues and so many problems lately. It's been great. Not sure if that's necessarily one of them that they need to spend their time on right now. Phil saying about the arrow bug. It's how JNet responds to ice trashing since forever, because it is a pile of hacks. Okay, coming through. Trying to looking here to locking R&D. Good play, I think. Probably the best play he has right now. Would normally be a good play were it not for the fact that Amanda has a hostile in hand and a Project Atlas token.
Yeah. So
yeah. Even right now, I mean, Amanda could potentially just pull that last. Oh, it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah.
I was saying on that Stargate run, and Phil with only 1 click left, she could have pulled that. Other hostile. Actually, I don't think it matters either way.
Yeah. Yep. Amanda's got the victory. We are going to go to a game 3.
Game 3 looks good. Okay, so now Phil, as the loser of this match, gets to decide on sides, and I am going to guess we are back to Blue Sun versus Ed Kim. Yep, swapping back to Corp for game 3.
All right.
That's what I would do.
Yep. Corp is looking pretty good now. All right, so we are going to join the next game they throw up. And thank you to the stream chat for helping me work out some of the mic issues, the reverb effect that I'm getting. There's a checkbox in the recording mixer settings labeled monitor next to the import source that may cause this kind of issue.
Yeah, that's so cool. We got people watching, commenting, and it's helping us out. I love it.
All right. So here.
Okay, so it looks like in other news, it looks like Matthew Yeaton, aka Scry, on Slack beat Dan Darginio at the Philadelphia Regionals for the championship.
Wow, that's congratulations. It is awesome to see former world champ Dan playing again, but it's also great to have other people pull down tournaments. This is great. Love it. All right, so here we have the same matchup we saw in game one, Edward Kim versus Blue Sun. Hopefully for Amanda, she doesn't have to sit through that scarcity all game long. And she drew a crowdfunding and her opening hand. That seems good. Got a liberated account as well, so at least starting off early. And I bet with the knowledge that scarcity is a potential play, we'll see her install resources as quickly as possible.
Yeah, provided that Phil doesn't draw a first turn scarcity here, I imagine her turn might be something like credit, liberated, hit liberated, throw down that Earthrise.
Yep. And so Phil, turn one, clicking for a credit, putting a slot machine on R&D and a border control on HQ. He has two agendas in HQ and none of his kill package yet. So
right.
Wanting to protect those as much as he can, because a couple HQ runs right now could honestly just remove the kill prospect.
Yep. Yeah, and honestly, not a opening hand that you want to see out of Blue Sun. No additional money, no huge ice, no OAI, nothing like that. I imagine though that this turn he scores out one of those hostiles, and he may even follow it up second turn, get that other hostile out of hand. We talked about last game how dangerous it could possibly be for Phil if Amanda steals even one of those hostiles, right? Because the number of opportunities that you have then for the punitive kill go down.
Yeah. So with runner needing 7 points and being on the punitive kill package, if you're running 5-3s, you have two opportunities for the kill. One is after they score their first 5-3, one is after they score the second. But that's only if they've scored no other agendas. So like you said, scoring a hostile, touching a hostile at any point, cuts your punitive opportunities by 50%. It's really rough.
Yep.
Like you said, Amanda going ahead and getting the Liberated and Earthrise installed on that first turn, and looks like it's paying off. Draws into a daily cast, which I'm sure is going to hit the table fairly soon, and set to draw more off Earthrise this turn, and a couple more, or another one off crowdfunding the turn after that, and has now drawn into two I've Had Worses. So honestly, Corp is in a strong position in this tournament in general at this point, but Amanda has a lot of the resources she needs to win the game.
Yep.
Right now, she's got her Stargate down. Honestly, at this point, really just only needs to draw a couple breakers.
Now, again, that early Stargate telegraphing her path to victory line right here, and Phil immediately throws the Chrysium on R&D, right? Which is exactly what I would do too. I might like to hold back personally that Stargate. At the same time, though, Amanda might be thinking, okay, if I put that Stargate down, however, it's going to make Phil, armor up R&D a little bit more, potentially making his other servers a little bit more vulnerable. She might be thinking about that as well.
Yep. Yeah. So again, her being Edward Kim and knowing that he's on a kill package, or I don't know that she knows that. I'm not sure she saw any of the kill cards last game, but it's a pretty safe assumption given the card pool you have available in this tournament, right? Like making him defend R&D can work in her favor to let her hammer HQ and try to kill some of his uh, kill, if you will, some of
Yeah,
his kill package cards.
absolutely. So I do like being a little bit more aggressive here with the I've had worse, accelerating her draw. Um, this was this is her in my mind pivoting a little bit from what didn't work last game all too much,
Yeah,
right? Which was holding those I've had worse back just a little bit too much. Great defensive play, but not so great offensively.
yeah. And Phil using Rashida to draw into a daily quest and 2 surveyors feels pretty good for him, I'm sure. He's setting up quite a bit of money over the course of the game.
Yeah, man, what a cool card Daily Quest has been.
Yeah, I really like it.
I like it so much, and I like its design so much better than Commercial Bankers Group
Yeah,
and all the problematics that come with those political assets. But I really like Daily Quest. Huge bonus, huge benefit, but you have to work for it.
yes, yes, you do. All right, so Amanda here draws her Corroder off of the crowdfunding draw. And has another daily cast in hand. But looks like she's just going to go and we runs into the slot machine. So we're going to get to see a bit about her stack. And great, she gets lucky. Phil does not for the top 3 cards. All of them are cards she'd want to draw, I guess, except for the Stargate already having one installed. But that makes 2 of the 3 slot machine resources or subs not really have any effect. So it's just a 3 credit run on R&D. At this point, and with the bad pub, it's 2 credits. So she'll get in here and trash the Crisium, and then she'll have 2 credit Stargate runs on R&D for the foreseeable future. I'm sure we're going to see the Hortum go down on R&D next turn for Phil.
Yep. Seeing that hippo coming up though, it's pretty good for Amanda. She doesn't know that she'll be able to get. She'll probably have to get rid of that Hortum with it, possibly, but certainly just peeling away any of that ice there, either getting rid of the Hortum or getting rid of the Stargate, turns what would essentially be like a 5 credit run for R&D with the bad pub into a 2 credit run.
Yeah, and also extremely crucial. She accessed the punitive off the top of R&D, so one of Phil's kill cards goes into the bin. He has the one in hand, so really just needs either an archived memories, which he is playing. I'm guessing he's on more than one. My guess would be 2. But one of the cards he needs to win the game is now in archives, thanks to the Edward Kim effect. And it looks like Amanda is doing 2 additional runs here. To get the crowdfunding back, notably not running on R&D there. I'm guessing because she saw the cards that were coming up and would like to draw both of them.
Yep. Now, archived is what? Archived is 2 influence. He might only be on 1. We're seeing slot machine, so he might be on triple slot machine. We're seeing daily cast. I imagine he's on at least multiple daily casts. Daily quest, excuse me. So that could be up to 9 right there. Certainly, he does have the room for multiple archive memories, but something to definitely keep track of.
Yep.
Now, also of note, consulting visit is not in this card pool, especially with Phil taking escalation. It has his 1 additional data pack for the tournament finals, the elimination rounds. This could be huge right here.
Yep. Amanda accesses the SSL, and that's really good for her right now because Phil does not, even if he pulls something back with Blue Sun, doesn't have the credits to land a double punitive. So Phil gains a lot of money for the future. And gets in a better spot for a double punitive or a kill after the next agenda steal, but she's safe for now, and she goes back, which is
this could be dangerous.
Yeah, it could be dangerous if she hits another 3-pointer. She would be in a bit of hurt. But
I think if she hits that hostile, it's going to be
oh no,
more
you're
hurt.
right. You're right. But she hits the punitive. Did she run? I think she dirty laundried archives. Click one, so does not get to trash the punitive.
Yeah.
Um,
Was this the same turn that she also stargated already?
let's see. I haven't been paying that much turn, so
Or was that last turn?
click. I think it was last turn. Click one.
Oh,
She
okay.
it was data sucker. Two was dirty laundry archives, presumably to gain a data sucker counter just in case there was a nasty code gate on HQ.
Right,
Um,
right. Now, of course, if you Dirty Laundry archives with Ed Kim or just run archives without Dirty Laundry, if you hit any operations in there, even though they're already in the trash, it spends his ability. So
yeah,
because Punitive then was already in the trash and was touched by Ed Kim did not trash that Punitive that Amanda just accessed.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting quirk of the rules, I suppose. Yeah, we have chat mentioning that we've had to rebuild our decks every step of the way, and that that's been it can be kind of difficult for the tournament. It's been a little bit more time consuming, and that's why we've really only played one match a week,
Yeah,
I suppose. But it's also been really fun. We haven't necessarily. I think there's a subreddit dedicated to going through playing games with the Netrunner card pool through time, starting with the original core set and then introducing data packs every couple months, just like FFG did. So kind of reliving the meta, and we haven't been doing that, but it's been a lot of fun just to see the different options that are open to you as the card pool expands. Um, it's even a little different from playing like a cash refresh, right? Because in cash refresh you have the limited card pool, but it's all available to you from the start. I've really
right.
enjoyed this tournament, being able to do different things each week, and figuring out what those things are. Oh, this is rough. Running into the Fairchild 3. Amanda has enough between the data sucker and her Black Orchestra to break it. But still, never like to run into that ice. It's just difficult.
No, yeah,
She
and
she should
hitting
still be able to get in.
Yeah, Data Sucker plus the Black Orchestra probably sacking here the crowdfunding, even though you're going to lose the credit in the draw next turn. Sacking the crowdfunding here is like a pseudo 3 credit savings.
Mm-hmm.
Then spending 2 more through border control if she wants to access. And again, really for her, nothing but good targets here.
Yep. Yeah. Any of these cards, she would be happy to access. I think.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, I think that the least valuable target here for her is the OAI.
Yep. And
Right?
yeah, normally in Blue Sun, you'd love to kill the OAI. Um, it's like at this point, if you're Phil, do you fire this border control?
Oof.
Like I almost do because 50% of the cards turn off your kill package, right? Actually,
Yeah,
75, right? Yep, he uses the border
he
control.
fires it. Yeah, that's a good play.
Yep, the
That's,
because
that's
yeah, hit,
definitely an edge case. He could have gone either way. Certainly, whether he did or didn't, I wouldn't have necessarily said it was wrong when one way or the other. But I definitely understand and respect his line of reasoning there.
yeah. Like honestly, I think it doesn't feel good to fire a border control on HQ with when you don't have an agenda on the table or anything of that sort. But I do think he had to fire it there.
Oof.
Oh, that's rough. He does have 14 credits, and Amanda just has the 2. So yep, drawing quickly to get some more ice on HQ. Not knowing, I think we have the one hippo in the. No, he knows that she is on hippo. I
Yeah.
think. Um,
Afshar on HQ as your outermost ice completely shuts off Hippo though on HQ.
oh, you're right. That's great.
With Afshar on top on HQ, you cannot break all the subroutines on the outermost ice.
I hadn't thought of that. That's an amazing point.
Yeah,
It's a great interaction as well, and it's
that's
also
a great design.
yeah. And also, Ashfar just painful to break with Black Orchestra. 3 credits to break the 1 strength ice.
plus the
while losing
plus the
two.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's even with the bad pub, that's 4 credits to break
Yep.
the 3 to res ice.
Now, Amanda running archives 3 times to get back her crowdfunding, but also getting some data sucker tokens, which are as good as money in this matchup, especially with that super inefficient Black Orchestra and with Mimic, which we saw last game, but which she didn't really get to use too much because she didn't have the data sucker.
Right. Yeah. So Phil, I think correctly going for the SSL score here. I don't think Amanda can get in. So Phil is just going to get the money anyway. But even if she could, he's going to need credits because I don't know her. I think he's probably going to have to win this one by scoring out. Just given the agendas that he has in hand, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
He had 7 points in hand, and he has 1 point scored. So you need to score an agenda. At that point, you're probably going to want to score the SSL, and then having those credits and having a 2 surveyors plus a border control on the remote just sets you up to score out for the win more than it does trying to bait the kill.
Yep, yep. And there's really nothing that Amanda can do right now against those surveyors. Not too much at all. Even if she were to find her mimic and get even if she were to find her mimic and get more, data sucker counters, there is that border control at the bottom. So it would be very, very difficult to go through that server twice.
Yep, yep. Oh, but stem hack is a good way to get through it once. Actually, no. Those surveyors are 6, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stem hack doesn't really even help you here.
No, she can't. She can't get through both of them. It's those times when you're just like, why isn't StimHack 12 credits? Why is it only 9?
Right. Come on. Anarchs needs some more econ love.
Oh wait, sorry. Ed Kim does have a link.
Okay. Well, kind
So,
of. So she can get through once.
yeah, I mean, and that would be if Phil doesn't pay into anything. She can Phil if Phil does not pump here, she can spend 5. She'll have 6 credits left, meaning that Phil would really just have to pay 1 credit on the second surveyor to make it so that she wouldn't be able to get into the server,
Right.
because you still need to get through that last border control.
Yeah. So it would be assuming Phil doesn't pay in, it's 5 credits to beat each of these traces twice. That's 20. She has 21, so she could then break the last border control sub, and Phil would gain 3 credits. But then at that point, with her on 0 credits, I would imagine, and 5 cards in hand, with Phil just having the 1 punitive in hand, I imagine he just fires the border control.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I also think, like, at this point, oh, that's interesting. Jinteki is not subtracting the credits appropriately.
Where?
So she had. Oh nope, I'm doing math wrong. That's the problem.
I think she's taking the tags.
Gotcha.
I don't think she's contesting those first traces.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So now, if you are Phil, oh, what happened there?
Oh, Phil paid into the trace, ensuring.
Oh, he did. Oh, he did pay into
Yeah,
trace.
and honestly, that's probably the best call. You save your border control, you score out the SSL next turn, putting you on 4, and you give yourself 9 credits over the next 3 turns.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, Surveyor's just a nasty card.
Yeah, interesting that Nisei decided to take it off the restricted list
Mm-hmm.
for standard play.
Yeah, so I haven't played in a ton of really competitive tournaments recently. We did the G and K right before you all moved, John. But that was the only tournament I've really played in since Store Championship season. Um, and I didn't, so I haven't seen like the Gagarin decks they're talking about that are rough. And I also haven't seen how Glacier decks are having difficulty in the meta. But boy, if Glacier is having difficulty, unrestricting Surveyor is one way to solve that problem.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people are now using that restricted slot on Excalibur again when they are going to those Glacier decks. Because then now you have Surveyor plus Border Control plus Excalibur on your scoring remotes becomes super super nasty. Seeing that quite a bit out of sports metal decks and things like that.
Yeah.
Looking at this matchup right now, and just this tempo shift that happened just really a few turns ago. Amanda was really starting to edge out over Phil. Getting money, getting some tempo, getting her breaker suite out. And now all of a sudden it looks like Phil is just a couple turns away from being able to take this. I think he can gain the 3 credits right here and immediately jam that SDS and force Amanda to provide an answer.
Yep. So would you pull back the Fairchild just to have additional credits? I'm trying to think. Let's do some math real quick. Install Advance for the SDS leaves him on 5. Nope, no, he doesn't need to pull anything back.
I don't think he needs to pull anything back.
He has enough to res the border control.
5, can res the border control going to 1, and then next turn just score out either through pulling back money from Blue Sun or just getting the 3 credits from SSL.
Yep, you are correct.
So really, even without that SSL money, well, no, I mean, he would need really.
Without SSL, he needs to pull something back this turn because he needs the 4 to res the border control plus the 2 to advance. So he needs to be sitting. He needs to be sitting on 6 at the start of the turn.
Yeah. But moot point because he has the SSL money.
Yep, exactly. And so, if you are Amanda, what is your play here? There's the other Crisium on R&D, and so that's maybe something that. Oh wow, Phil not going for the win. That's interesting. And putting the reduced service in the remote. I guess that locks it up for when he puts the SDS in. But I think honestly, if I'm Amanda, I think I'm probably going to try to hit R&D now. With the Hippo in hand, that outermost ice becomes difficult to res, and border control can be expensive, but if you're at 0 credits, you can just run through it.
Yeah, slot machine.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah. Slot machine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, slot machine doesn't stop you in any way. It doesn't punish you if you are already poor. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that might just be the line. She does only need 2 agendas to win right now. There's only probably 3 left in the deck, however, in R&D.
Yep.
So she's gonna have to get a little bit lucky here. Phil might have also gone with the reduced service in there instead of trying to score out here because maybe he's expecting Amanda to be sitting on additional stim hacks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So installing Demolisher makes it easier to trash corp cards.
Yeah, if she trashes the Hortum with Hippo, she'll get a credit. Then Crisium will actually only be 4 to trash. Demolisher reducing the trash cost. Now, if Phil did not have this SDS in hand, I think Amanda would still be in fine shape. Jamming this SDS next turn, though, I think means that Amanda's going to have to figure out a way to win in about 2 turns. Amanda opting not to use the hippo on the Whoredom.
Yeah, it's tough.
I might have there. I probably would have, because at this point I'm thinking that R&D is where I win.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just a tough decision to versus Blue Sun, knowing that they're on kill, be faced with the extremely solid remote.
Yeah. Also against Blue Sun, and having a card like Hippo, there's a tendency I have even where I want to save that Hippo a lot of times for the big guys, or
Yep.
for the surveyors. It's tough to make that call to use Hippo on a Whoredom, which basically just costs you 3 credits.
Yep.
Did Phil not res
Did
the
not res the Crisium.
Chose not to res the Crisium. And what did she get?
Oh
no, was that a Stargate run?
It wasn't. It was not. So it looks like she was just running the first to kill the Crisium, maybe saving an opportunity to use Stargate later in the turn. Although it's just expensive to do so now.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And now, if she killed the Whoredom, well, actually, she can still go in. She can still go in with Stargate. Costs you only 3 with Whoredom, and again, Slot Machine doesn't actually stop you.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. A third one here would bring back her crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm. So presumably that is what she will do this run. Either through either the Stargate through R&D or just another Archives run.
Yeah, I think 100% you Stargate here. Amanda taking her time, thinking about lines of play.
Yep, I think just realizing that if this is a pretty crucial turning point in the game, because Phil just needs the one agenda to score.
Yep,
score out.
She's by no means out, but her path to victory is narrowing quite a bit. She needs to find a 5/3 off of R&D, I think. Probably this turn.
Yep.
With that Stargate run.
Yep. And so there she goes.
Now, unfortunately, the bad pub not really doing her any good here. Costs her 3 anyway to get through Whoredom, and then she's going to lose the credit to Slot Machine.
Yep.
But again, can she find that 5/3, and then can she somehow make a miracle happen next turn?
Yeah, like finding an agenda here makes things interesting, at least. But she doesn't. She's Surveyor, Whoredom, and Archive Memories. And so, barring an extremely I guess an unforeseen turn of events, Phil probably scores out this turn. So Amanda next turn will gain 1 from crowdfunding and 2 from daily casts, and so can click 1 to bring herself to 7. And so 7 credits is enough for 1 run on R&D, where she can Stargate something away. If she decided, or if she was able to hit find a 5/3. But it's just really difficult to see a path that she has now, unfortunately.
Yeah, she has to hit Stargate here. She's going to see 2 fresh cards. She trashed the Surveyor. Phil drew the Whoredom, so only the Archive Memories on top. So she'll see 2 fresh cards. Possibly can hit a 5/3. Has to take it from Archives. Then we'll have to swoop around to HQ to try to get that hostile.
Yeah.
Nope. She does not have enough clicks now to do that. It's hard. I mean, It's hard. It's very, very easy to read that server 2 as a NGO front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And honestly, for her to pull out a win, it almost has to be an NGO front for her.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. So I mean, her line of play here, I think, is to just say, okay, well, this has to be an NGO front, otherwise I can't do the win. So I'm going to play as if it were an NGO front because that's really
Yeah.
my path. So Phil takes it. Really exciting second match.
Yeah.
Really cool best of 3 right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Both players played really excellently, and look at these stats here this time around, right? Amanda really outmoneying Phil this time,
Yep.
only spending four clicks for credits as opposed to 19 last turn. Amanda really doing everything she possibly could in order to give herself opportunities for victory, but sometimes blue sun is just blue sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, Phil's cards came in the order that he needed them, and he also made the correct decisions. Right, like you can have the cards you need to win, but you also have to play them the right way. And Phil, I didn't see him make anything that I would consider to be a mistake this game. So really, really well played by Phil, and really well deserving of moving on to the next round.
Yeah, and not huge opportunities for Phil here to even make all too much money using blue sun shenanigans. So really was just able to play what he had, make